Welcome to Joy and Gratitude with Neo Queiro and
Beth Mercurio. Welcome back. Excited to be with everybody today. Neo, I have a topic. Is that all right? I'm jumping in. I know. I was like thinking about it, and it just happens to be that I had a small group coaching session last night. And as you know, we've talked a little bit about Gratitude Rocks. So that I use that as kind of the platform for the group, and then it goes in all different directions. Not so dissimilar than this beautiful podcast, where it takes us, we go right, and we lean into wherever it goes. But I had kind of an aha moment in our session for myself, which is really interesting. And so I thought we could talk today about balance because my gratitude rock was balance. And I had an immediate reaction to the word, and it was really interesting, and it led to kind of a beautiful conversation. So before I share all of that, which is like deep and interesting and reflective, I wanted to kind of start instead with maybe you. And as I throw the word balance out into the universe to you without you knowing I'm going to say it, like what comes up for you with the word balance?
fiction.
Ha
Oh wow. It's actually a word that has been a myth that has been thrown on women. You know, you can have it all. You can have balance. You could be a mom. You could be a corporate woman. You could be a triathlete. You could be all these things, and all can be in balance. Well, life isn't about balance. Life is about flow. And life is ever changing. Change is the only constant, right? And it's kind of funny that you came up with that happened. So this weekend, I went to a writing retreat, and my publisher sent me to the retreat because I've been stuck. Um, and my due date to get my manuscript out for my second book, which is a companion to Joy Notes Balancing Trauma with Triumph, um, is due in 2 weeks. And I have done 2 chapters out of 10. And so she says, "You got to get your act together," right? She said to me, which really annoyed me, "You got to get in balance." And I was like,
I just had a reaction. Like, oh, okay, keep
exactly.
going. Sorry.
I went, "How dare
Mm,
you?" I was so
oh,
rude. I said, "That's so rude." And she says, "No, you really have to get writing." But but anyway, um, I went to this retreat, and we talked about balance in the retreat and how it's a myth. And it was so empowering. And by the way, my writer's block did open up, and I found out that the reason I was in writer's block is that I was placing myself on such high expectations of all the things I had to get done that something had to stop. Something was going to be paralyzed, frozen. Maybe all the other things could get done, but something was going to get stuck. And in my case, it was me being able to write, to continue my series. So balance, it's a word that gives you a lot of reaction. It's a tough one.
yes. Okay. So amazing. Thank you for that incredible share. Yeah. So I had a very similar reaction to yours. I was like, I was agitated, and I held this beautiful rock, which I chose the word balance to be on a rock, right? Like I was involved in that. So back in the day, I really thought balance. Oh, that's what we want, right? That's what we want to achieve. Like that's this goal, this thing that if I could achieve balance, man, I'd be good, right? All good. I've got balance. I even have like this incredible thing here says well balanced, which is kind of awesome with this like chalice, right? So it's like very spiritual, like be well balanced. It was a gift. So I really was like, okay, why did I choose that word? Because the word set me up. You just said the word expectations. And I realized that I kept setting all these expectations on myself. So I was giving myself these expectations that I could be all the things you mentioned, right? An amazing professional, the best mom, an incredible spouse, the taking care of myself as well as my parents and all the things. And when that didn't happen, and I became very dysregulated because I was doing nothing well, right? So if you figure in my definition, in my like high expectation definition, I needed to be doing everything really well to be balanced. And that made me feel like I failed all the time. So my reaction to balance is failure. So I'm like, "Oh, I fail at that. I'm failing every day. I'm not living a balanced life." And so I got really frustrated by that and I realized that that word no longer is something that feels good to me and I don't want to strive for that anymore. And the same word that you're talking about, flow, is now on a rock. And flow was this rock that I had chosen to put. We create kind of a beautiful altar together in group, and people bring things that are meaningful, and we share about why they're meaningful. And I had brought the rock flow to say that I was in this next phase, really going from growing and flowing. Like that was the stage. And literally, I say that, look at this, what happened? My body just started to move like this. See that?
Mhm.
So flowing and moving. And what I realized was in this world of high expectation, in this world of setting ourselves up, I'm an extremist. That's part of me too. Perfectionism, achiever, right? We know that can also lead to extremism. You're either all good or all bad, right? Polarities instead of anything like in the middle. And I realized that like I think about a pendulum a lot.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, here I am over here. Well, in order to get to the middle, I got to come all the way over here. And I think what I crave is that my flow is kind of stays more in the middle. I don't have to go high up or on either end. But this idea of balance made me realize, sometimes we actually have to go high up. Recently I think my parents have been really ill and I've had to really step into daughter role. And that's okay. So I'm
Yeah.
choosing to let go of some of the other stuff, and that's intentional. That doesn't mean that I'm not balanced or in a good place for myself. It means I'm making a really good choice for what I need and I can't do everything well. So I'm going to let some things go and that's going to be okay, and I'm going to intentionally put my energy somewhere else. And the beauty of this, it sounds like you and I have very, which I love, once again, our worlds coming together, our chemistry, our electricity happening where we have that same experience even though we are just sharing it now. But one of the people in our group said, "Wow, that's not what I perceive balance to be."
Ooh.
And she said, "Balance for me is a physical state." She's a Reiki healer,
Mm.
where when I can balance someone, I have cleared all their energy in a way that they can then move forward from a balanced energetic space. And I had my aha moment, which is there I was, even in that moment, being extreme around the word balance. I'm like, I don't have to throw balance out with the bathwater just because. So I went from like, balance is a word that I'm striving for to I hate balance and it's out of my life forever.
So you were
And then
living
she,
you were living the Buccaneer. You remember the Buccaneer ride when you were a kid?
yes, 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 exactly. Woo, and you think you're going to fall over the other side. You're like, oh
Exactly. You never fall over, but you
my
always
God.
are in that fear factor, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You nailed it. And so, right. And that's such a beautiful visual because when you think about it, the best place is when it slows down and you're right at the bottom where the pendulum sits still and where, my friend would say you are energetically balanced. And then you can make beautiful choices from that place. So now I have kind of a new way to look at balance with some appreciation for, sure, do I want to come from a balanced place where I can then move forward in flow, like that feels good, versus sort of assuming that I can't ever achieve balance, therefore I no longer like that word. It's like, oh, an energetic state of balance is me sitting at the bottom of the pendulum and making choiceful decisions around where I'm going to flow and what role needs more attention. And that feels really nice because it also gives me the reminder of how important it is to energetically balance ourselves and to actually sit in meditation, in silence, in breath work, to feel balanced so that we are better about the decisions we make in that flow state. And we're not racing off and doing something. We're not, flippantly reacting. We're making a choice about how we're showing up.
That's really interesting, and that is a new way of looking at it. It's interesting to me because I've always and through my training for being an energy practitioner, the word we used was centered. And if you look at the definition that your friend provided, it's the same definition for being centered. Um, and you're right. Why should we have a judgment on a word that can actually have so many different meanings? And why not accept it for the meaning that we need for that time? So it goes back to the whole idea of our curiosity instead of our judgment, and being centered is when you are open in clarity to what's ahead and being able to make the right decision for the present and not overwhelming yourself about what you're not getting done, but focusing on what has to get done for that moment. So, yeah, I can embrace balance again. Thank you.
Right? I know.
I can embrace it. I can handle
Wow.
balance.
It's like, wow.
Yay.
And yay, I know, it's like this, like, warm hug, and that's how I felt for her bringing that to me because I realized once again, the aha moment, the mirror was I was back in my place of going polarized to one extreme. And I thought, "That's classic. There I am doing it again." So in some way I thought, "Oh, see, I'm in flow." And it's like, oh, it's just such a good reminder. It was small but beautiful to go, "Oh, look, you're doing it." Your default was to throw balance out and just dislike that word, and I had that kind of a reaction. And so it was so lovely to, as you said, be in curiosity. And it made me really appreciate, again, courage and vulnerability for her to share. Cause I was a little, right, I was, I had a strong opinion about balance, right? And how it's not, we can't achieve it. I was a little, I got a little bit animated. And she was able to still bring that. She was like, that's really interesting. I see it really differently. And so then we had this beautiful conversation. So again, it goes to how do we stay open, and that different perspective shifted so much for me. I need to reach out to her today to just say now I have this whole new appreciation for how balance can be something beautiful in my life again, and something that, yeah, feels really lovely. So again, courage in speaking your mind, courage in bringing different perspectives, and all of our ability to stay open and hear what people think. Because of course, we all have our own different experiences. And her experience, it's something beautiful. So yeah, that was why. Sorry, I jumped right in because I was really thinking about it. It was fresh for me, this ability to reflect on and maybe just that a little bit. Again, I think the other piece that we've talked uh, about self-care, this idea about reflection, just self-reflection. So, this morning, why I'm so energized about it is because that just happened last night. So now
Mhm.
I've been really sitting with it, like, oh
Yeah.
wow. And it was only today that I realized, oh, I defaulted. Look at how I defaulted to my old habit. And that I just loved that little reminder to come back and now shift again to where I want to be, which is in flow. And this idea of reflection. And so yeah, can you share a little with us about, like, how do you, like, how does it happen for you, reflection and self-reflection? Because it is so powerful in our growth.
You know, the th for me, it is really in making sure that I meditate and pray, um, because I am really trying to learn how to do the self-reflection in the midst of the situation, and not have to wait. Um, so those are some of the things that I am trying to affirm and pray for that grace for myself to not be reactive. And it's a constant battle, you know? Um, I love my not today, Satan cup, and and I keep it front and center because so many times we just start judging ourselves and creating this persona that isn't who anybody sees us as, but we are our worst critic. And I am trying really hard to be the person that I visualize I should be that aligns with my purpose. And to do that, you have to be willing to analyze yourself, reflect, catch yourself in judgment, catch yourself in freeze, fight, flight, and understand that you're human. You're going to have all those emotions. You're going to have all those things, but it's how you react in the change. Catch it and then take action. Be aware of it, but it doesn't define you. And I think that that's been the big struggle is putting labels on myself. And now I'm learning how to remove those labels and actually look at the future of who I want to be and what I want in my life. Oprah Winfrey said that the most powerful people are the people that know what they want. And people would think that that would be from a commercial side of things. But what she meant was they know what they want in the situation, they know what they want and who they want to be, and they manifest it, and they're clear and have complete clarity of what they want to do and be. And that's the search. The search is to understand that and be that.
It's funny when I'm listening to you, I love that, and I feel that I ask that a lot in my work, right? What do you want? And sometimes I think people don't know. They sort of go, I don't know what I want. And then what I'm realizing is that before, if you don't know what you want, one of the things that can be really interesting as an exercise is to think about what you wish for. So sometimes people are like, I don't know what I want. I mean, that's the problem. I'm stuck. I don't know. And then you say, all right, well, what do you wish for? And then you can ask people to kind of envision, like, hey, if it was a year from now or 6 months from now, like, what would you wish to be true? What would you wish to be different? And then you can see, what is that gap, and are there things that you can get them to start to actually. We talk about creativity and possibility, and we talk about how we want our listeners to be creators in their life, right? Get untangled and start to be creators. That's like, we want that so much for everybody. And I do think that's a good starting point. If you don't know what you want right away, start to just take some time to envision and to wish for something. Like, what do I wish it would look like? And then you can actually start to realize what is the most important thing. If you can't have everything, and then we can help to sort of narrow in on that piece. But I agree with you. That is where the real aliveness can come, is when you start to really understand what you want, what you wish for, and then you can back into what's getting in the way, right? Are there things that I can shift? Are there things I need to remove, or add in order to get closer to what I want and wish for in my life?
No, I totally agree with you. If you cannot envision it and start small, because I think that sometimes what happens is when people hear the word vision, they think it has to be this huge, amazing, place, and they expect to have, little birds flying around them, and it's not a Disney movie.
I was going to
That's
say, I have Cinderella.
right, exactly. It's not a Disney movie. Your vision for yourself could be simple. Start in the simple. And then from there, you can you can expand the vision because once you obtain the little, then you know that you have the proof that you can do more. So you keep growing that vision, but start in the simple. And I think that sometimes we just overwhelm ourselves. And I remember when I made the decision that I wanted to um, basically talk about how to be your authentic self. And I had never been on stage in a vulnerable state telling about my life. I was on stage talking finance. It's a very different thing. And I was speaking to someone and I was telling her that I was interested in doing, some motivational speaking, but my real focus was letting people know that it was okay, that they were worthy and they could be authentic. And I had no idea that I was speaking to someone that had the power to get me on stage to do that. And the next thing I knew, she booked me to speak at a conference. And I was like, really?
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. And I remember I had no idea what I was doing. But she said to me, when you get up there, talk to me. And that's all I did. I prepared. Oh God, did I prepare? But the vision was I wanted to go on stage and talk to people about how to find their authenticity, how to find their flow, how to find the ability to get their dreams not to be dreams, but to be accomplishments. And I knew that I had no idea how to do it, but I knew that I could. So I went up there and she was sitting in the front and I had a conversation with her. Now, the audience had no idea that I was really focused on one person because I actually walked around and I tried to make eye contact with all, but my brain was, I'm speaking to one person. That was the step. Was it great? Now, if I think about when I did that particular keynote and what I do today, night and day. But it was the first step. And it was the step that taught me, yes, you can.
Yeah, you got started. You got
Exactly.
started.
And
Yeah.
everybody has a first day. We got to remind ourselves everybody has a first day. You have the first day you got on a bicycle and you fell, but you got on the bicycle. You got the first day you got behind the wheel of a car and maybe you just went 10,
So
10
nerve-wracking.
inches forward, but
Yeah.
you went 10 inches forward. You could do it. It's
It's so true. And as you're talking, you're reminding me, you're sort of bringing us full circle to this idea of you have to get started and then you have to realize that you're on a journey and that you can always shift and change. We talk a lot about we love it for try, experiment, play. Like those are such beautiful words. And then you can decide what you want to keep and what you want to change again. And so you just said you feel like there's a lot of growth that happened between your first keynote and where you are now, and I think we started this whole conversation really with me saying, I thought it was balance. Then it became flow. And now I'm yet again going, and I want balance back too.
yeah,
So it's this idea of like, hey, how do we allow for in true authenticity? We are constantly doing that. We're starting, we say yes, we learn, we try something different, right? It's that whole growth mindset and our ability to stay in that space. And I think the other piece that I would love to share on that is when we do that, then people get to see and they're like, hey, they're doing that over there. That's kind of cool. And wait, what I can learn from that. Oh, and then we give people permission. So in some ways, it's inspirational to just see somebody else just say, I'm going to try it. And it might not work. It might work. whether it works or not, I'm going to learn something about myself. And then I'm going to keep moving forward closer to something I wish or want for myself. So when we get out of our comfort zone and we try something new, we are moving towards something that's in our path and our journey. And so I applaud all of us that try when we don't know what's going to be on the other side, but we know we want to push ourselves and we want to keep moving towards something in the future that's out there that we want to become, or just acceptance of who we are in our overall path. So yeah, it's fun to be a part of that and to be witness to people doing that and experimenting and playing in their lives to become and be who they really truly are.
Yeah. And I love the word that you said, experimenting. Understand that if you don't like it, you don't have to stick to it. It's okay, and you can be who you want to be. It's all about being authentic, being in flow, leaning into your gratitude and joy. And that is what we do here. We untangle you one step at a time, finding your balance, your creativity, your wholeness in joy and gratitude.